Let us look at another problem. 5x squared plus 13x minus 6 is equal to 0. So now we need to rewrite the middle term, the 13x. But again, the two numbers must multiply to give the same result as AC. And what is AC? A is 5, C is minus 6. So AC is 5 times minus 6, which is minus 30. And to get this pair of numbers that we use to rewrite the 13, we can list out all the possible values that multiply to give 30. So obviously, yes, anything times 1, 30 times 1, that's what, see, 6 times 5, 3 times 10, any other? 2 times 15. So which of these numbers add or subtract to give you positive 13? Well, 10 plus 3, if we add those, we get positive 13. But when we multiply 10 times 3, do we get negative 30? No. So this could not be it. What about 2 plus 2 and 15? Yes, 15 minus 2. Yes, that gives us positive 13. And if we should multiply these two numbers, negative 2 times 15, we'll end up with negative 30. So yes, negative 2 and 15 satisfy both conditions. They add to give positive 13, and when you multiply them, you get minus 30. So we rewrite the 13x as 15x minus 2x, or you could have said minus 2x plus 15x. It's up to you. The order does not matter, as long as you get 13x in the end, and as long as the positive sign is on the 15 and the negative is on the 2. So now we have 4 terms. So we factor by groups. So we group each group them into pairs, and then we factor each group separately. So for the first, what's the common factor? 5 and 15, the common factor here are 5. And x squared and x, common factor there is x. So now we need the terms for the bracket, and we can get those terms by dividing what we're factoring. Dividing these terms by what we have outside, 5x. So 5 into 5, that's 1. X into x squared, that's x. X into x, 1. So 5 into 15, that's positive 3. Here, what's the common factor? Is x common? No. 2, but we'll take out minus 2 since the expression begins with a negative value. So divide both terms by minus 2, and this assists us with the terms for the bracket. So minus 2 into itself, anything divided by itself is 1, so 1x. And minus 6 divided by minus 2, that's positive 3. So now we have a common factor, common bracket. So with x plus 3, so we factor out x plus 3. And if we factor out x plus 3, what are we left with? 5x. And we factor out x plus 3 here, what are we left with? Minus 2. So that's step 1, which is the longest step. So we, after first step, factorize, and then step 2, equate each bracket to 0 and solve each bracket separately. So we equate x plus 3 to 0, and we have 5x minus 2 is equal to 0. So we're saying both brackets multiply to give 0, which means one of them has to be 0. So solving this, subtract 3 from both sides, so x plus 3 equals 0 becomes x equal minus 3. Here, we add 2 to both sides, so 5x minus 2 equals 0 becomes 5x equal to 2. And for this, we divide both sides by 5. As remember, it's x we want to find. Right? It's x we're calculating, right? So we divide both sides by 5. And this would mean that 5 into 5, that's 1, so 1x. And 2 divided by 5. You can leave it as just 2 over 5. Or, I guess you could rewrite it as 2 divided by 5, 0.4. That's 4 over 10, so that's 0.4. Right? So our solutions, x equal minus 3, x equal 0.4. And it doesn't matter which order you write the solutions in, as long as you have those two values. And again, you can always substitute just to check if your answer is correct. Let's look at another one. 4x squared minus 9x is equal to 0. Notice this does not have a c value. We have an a value, we have a b value. A is 4, b is negative 9. And when there's no c value, this is quadratic. We can always just go straight ahead and factorize. And the common factor here, it's a common factor here. X, 1 is the highest common factor for 4 and 9, and for x squared and x is x. So the common factor here is what? 1x. And if you factor out 1x, what terms do we put inside of the bracket? To get these terms, we can divide each of these terms by whatever we have outside the bracket, which is x. So x into x squared, that's x, so it's just 4x, right? And then x into x, that's 1, so just negative 9. Alright, so we equate each of them to 0. So we are saying x times 4x minus 9 is equal to 0. So either x is equal to 0, one of them has to be 0, right? Because if two values multiply to give 0, then one of those values has to be 0. Either the x is 0 or the 4x minus 9 is 0. Alright, so x equals 0 is a solution. 4x minus 9 equals 0. We can solve that. Add 9 to both sides. This becomes 4x equal to positive 9. Alright, some of you would say bring over the negative 9. Right? So 4x equal to 9. So we need to get rid of this 4, because remember the aim of the game here is to find the value of x. So we need to get rid of this 4. So we divide the left hand side by 4, which means we also need to divide the other side by 4. So 4 into 4, that's 1, so 1x, so x. And then 9 divided by 4. Of course, you could leave your answer like that. Or, if you wish, you could write it as a mixed fraction if you prefer. So 4 into 9, 2 times, remainder 1, so 2 1/4. Or 2.25 if you wish. So the solutions, x equals 0 and x equal 2 1/4.